Some neighborhoods in Waterloo are really good, but these are the ones that people actually wait for. In this video, I'm walking you through the A and S tier neighborhoods, what I would call the most desirable and family-friendly areas in the entire city. And if you haven't seen part 1 yet, I broke down all the other neighborhoods, including the best options for first-time homebuyers and the budget-conscious families. So make sure to check that one out as well. But for now, let's look at the Tier A and Tier S neighborhoods. Stay tuned and let's dive right in. And just before we dive right in, if you are planning a move to Kitchener-Waterloo area and you want help figuring out which of these neighborhoods makes the most sense for you and family, feel free to reach out. You can call, text, email me, or even schedule a Zoom call. All my contact info is linked right below in the description. I help first-time buyers and families just like you every single week. All right, so let's get straight into it. And let's start with the Tier A neighborhoods. Now, these are the neighborhoods that, may not be brand new or ultra exclusive, but let me tell you this, they are consistently popular. They've got strong schools, stable resale value, and access to shopping and amenities, and they feel like home. These are the kind of places where, families settle in and stay for years to come. First up on the Tier A, we have got Clare Hills. Now, this neighborhood is basically located on the west end of Waterloo, right besides Vista Hills. It's a nice modern suburban pocket. What you will find, most homes are built in the 2000s. You will mostly find a good range of detached homes with a few semis, as well as the townhomes that are kind of sprinkled around the neighborhood. It's got great access to Iron Needles, the Boardwalk Shopping Plaza, and the Costco. So all the major shopping. And guess what? You are close to parks and trails as well. School zones are really strong. There's a really family-friendly vibe that runs throughout this neighborhood. Now, prices in Clare Hills tend to be, on the higher end for that of the Waterloo average. But, you're getting a lot in return in terms of space, convenience, and the great location. Next up is Lexington and Lincoln Village, kind of grouped together in the northeast part of Waterloo. This area is, I would say, super convenient for commuters. On one hand, you are very close to the expressway. At the same time, you're very close to Conestoga Mall. And guess what? You got quick access to both the LRT and the major bus routes. The homes are a good mix of some from 1970s, some from, 90s and early 2000s. So you will find anything from, old bungalows, classic style, to two-story family homes. It's a great spot for young families, or I would say even the downsizers who want a quieter area without being too far out from the amenities. At the same time, you got good access to public and Catholic schools, options like Lincoln Heights, St. Luke. Overall, the neighborhood is not flashy, but I would say it's stable, very quiet, and highly livable. Now let's talk about the Kiwanis Park. A bit more tucked away, but still absolutely worth paying attention to. Now, this neighborhood is still on the northeast end of Waterloo, right along the Grand River. And it does have a bit of an upscale and suburban feel if you were to drive by. Most of the homes here were built in the 2010s or later, and many are in fact custom built or semi-estate homes. On one hand, you're really close to trails, the river, and of course the Kiwanis Park itself, which is one of the best outdoor spaces you can enjoy in the city of Waterloo. If I talk about the schooling options here, they basically are looking at Lexington Public School, the Blue Whale Secondary School, both of which are very solid. And yes, homes here are definitely on the higher side if you look at it price-wise. But for the buyers who are looking for newer construction and a bit more privacy, this is a great option. Last in Tier A, and arguably one that kind of borders the S tier, is Colonial Acres. This one I would say is one of the Waterloo's most established and at the same time prestigious neighborhoods. You're basically just east of the Conestoga Mall, and the neighborhood has a very mature, almost estate style feel to it. The homes here are mostly larger. Many of them are kind of on a wide lots, built somewhere between 70s all the way to early 2000s. There's a ton of pride of ownership, quiet, tree-lined streets, and kind of a peaceful vibe that feels very different if you were to compare with some of the rather newer subdivisions we talked about earlier. You've also got great access to the shops, the groceries, the highway, and a mix of strong public and Catholic schools. So it's kind of a very, very well-rounded neighborhood. Prices here are obviously above average, especially for larger infill or custom homes. But I would say the buyers who want space, privacy, and that of a mature setting, Colonial Acres would check all the boxes for you. Now let's shift gears and talk about the S-tier neighborhoods. These are the absolutely top neighborhoods you can find here in Waterloo. What I would say is most of these neighborhoods are the communities where demand is always high, homes move quickly when they come out for sale, and families that stay here, they stay here for a long haul. So it's like a destination neighborhood for most families. So let's kick things off with Vista Hills being a first neighborhood on the TRS. This is one of the Waterloo's most desirable new communities, located at the far west end of the city. Homes here were built starting in the 2015 and up. So you're mostly looking at modern, energy efficient builds, open layouts and floor plans that are very much family oriented. What really sets Vista Hills apart is the planning. What you're looking at, if you look up on map, you're basically surrounded by the protected green space with lots of hiking trails, the parks and ponds pretty much scattered throughout the neighborhood. So overall, it's a very quiet, clean and community driven neighborhood. And yes, the Vista Hills Public School is in fact one of the top rated elementary schools that you can find in the entire city of family, and is in fact a major draw for many young families with school going kids. Now, pricing here is obviously high for the new construction, but resale is strong and inventory is always tight. Homes that come out on the market, like I said, they don't last on for too long in some of these Tier S neighborhoods. Next one on this Tier S, we have another great neighborhood called Laurelwood, which is actually a long-standing family favorite for families here in Waterloo. Most of the homes, if I were to talk about the real estate, were built in the early 2000s. But they have been really well maintained. There's a good mix of detached homes and it feels very well established community with lots of parks, trails and schools all within the walking distance in many parts of this neighborhood. Now just keep in mind, Laurelwood feeds into the Laurel Heights Secondary School, which is one of the strongest academic high school you can find in the entire region of Waterloo. And having said that, it's a major draw for many families. You're also very close to both the universities, which adds that long-term stability to the area. Now, Laurelwood is also known for being very safe, convenient, and walkable. It's well-rounded. And of course, it really does have that complete community feel to it. Now, with all those things in mind, prices are definitely on the higher end and homes tend to move fairly quickly. But I would say the families that value education and long-term livability, this is arguably the top choice for most of my clients moving into Waterloo with school-going kids. And finally, we have this very niche neighborhood called Old Westmount, one of the most prestigious and charming neighborhoods you can find in the entire city of Waterloo. Now, location-wise, sits right outside the uptown Waterloo. It's not your typical cookie-cutter neighborhood. It's filled with mostly century homes, mature trees, very much rich in character, all the homes you will find here. But if you are someone who values a good combination of walkability and say classic architecture, this is the place for you in Waterloo. At the same time, you're very much walking distance to King Street, the shopping, LRT stops, and the Waterloo Park, and of course everything in between. The school zones include the Bluewell Collegiate and access to some of the top rated private schools in the entire region. Now keep in mind, the inventory here in Old Westmount is super limited. Homes don't hit the market as often, and when they do, they go fast. So prices are generally high. It's one of those neighborhoods where real estate values do hold over a long period of time. So that basically wraps up our two-part series ranking every single neighborhood here in Waterloo, from the ones to approach with caution to the most sought after spots in the entire region. Now, if you haven't watched part 1 yet, I really recommend doing that next, especially if your budget is anywhere under 900K. We went through some great value picks and mid-tier areas that still offer some great potential. And as always, if you are planning a move, whether it's across the province or just across the town, and you want help figuring out where to start, feel free to reach out. You can call, text, email me, or even schedule a Zoom call. All the info is linked right below in the description. Until next time, I will continue to show you around the town.